Hey, and welcome to the Drive and Dish podcast. We're here for December the 29th, and we're going to do our NBA DFS value plays of the day. So let's get into it. On the point guard side of things, I think you got to go high value here. Really like both Russell Westbrook and Stephen Curry. Their prices are really high, 10,600 and 9,400 for Westbrook and Curry. But I just think the value amongst them is much, much higher than the lower side of things when you drop down to Ben Simmons and De'Aaron Fox and Kyle Lowry and Malcolm Brogdon. So I think you just have to bite the bullet, and that's where you spend your high dollar money. But if you're looking for more mid-tier in the point guards, I like Jamal Murray sitting at 6,600 and Markelle Fultz, who's been amazing at 6,200. And then if you drop even lower, I'd go into Jeff Teague at 4,400. That's about all I see in the lower tier is Jeff Teague. Maybe a little Shake Milton in there, possibly Monty Morris, but he's had two solid games in a row, and his price is now at 4,100. So I might not want to go there. Anything below that, I don't see a ton of production. You have some Killian Hayes, who's been mediocre, but is really, really cheap at 3,800. And TJ McConnell does get minutes and put up some stats. And there's always Cole Anthony down there. But with the way Markelle Fultz is playing, Cole Anthony has been sort of regulated to not a ton of minutes. But I do like the value of Markelle Fultz and Jamal Murray at 6,600 and 6,200. Fultz with the OKC matchup, really, really think there's a good value there. On to the shooting guards. I think you could get away with going with Chris Middleton at 7,800, and you could bypass some of your high-priced Bradley Beal, who will definitely put up numbers. I'm still not in the love with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at that price, but Chris Middleton definitely looking at 7,800, and just a couple spots below him, D'Angelo Russell at 7,300 with Karl Anthony Towns out. I think D'Angelo Russell is a must play. I think there'll be a lot of volume there. So 7,300 is a really good price to get D'Angelo Russell. And Colin Sexton, who's been just awesome this year, still at a really good price at 6,800. If he continues with his numbers and a really nice matchup versus New York, I definitely go with Colin Sexton here. And then there is a really nice sort of quartet here sitting in the middle and the 5,000 price range. Buddy Hield at 5,400 really gets a lot of volume out of his shots. Good matchup versus a poor defensive team in Denver. Terrence Ross has been on fire to start the year, and at OKC, that should continue. He's also 5,400. Malik Beasley's volume should go up even more with Karl Anthony Towns, and he's actually been Minnesota's best player so far this year. And Lou Dort has been really good for OKC and probably been their best player this year. So at 5,100, I definitely take a look at Lou Dort. So you got a nice little grouping there at the 5,400 to 5,100 range of pretty productive shooting guards there. So maybe you don't spend up top real high and get those mid-tier guys. And only one guy I saw that was really worth it on the real cheap, Dwayne Bacon at 3,500. He is getting a lot of minutes for Orlando. Good matchup versus OKC, so that might be something you want to do there. A couple that you might want to look at, DeLon Wright, Seth Curry, JJ Redick, always sort of have a little value. DeLon Wright playing decent minutes for Detroit, and Curry and Redick at 42 and 4,100. You don't get a lot of other stats, but it might be one of their nights to hit a couple threes. So on really low tier guys, Bacon was the one I highlighted, but Wright, Curry, Redick also decent value there. On to the small forwards. I think you've got to use Brandon Ingram right now at 8,500. You're getting high dollar value, and he's not quite in that $10,000 range. So definitely looking at Brandon Ingram. Also been looking at Jaylen Brown, who has just been amazing so far this year. And at $8,000, if he continues the way he's been playing, that's really good value for the small forward side. A little bit down in the 5,000 range, Porter and Mikal Bridges. Michael Porter, hot and cold, but good matchup versus Sacramento. Think he'll get his points and rebounds today. 5,900. Mikal Bridges has been really good for Phoenix at 5,500. Think that's a really, really good value. Jamiah Grant at 5,700, really getting minutes and a lot of shots. Look for him to have a whole lot of volume and possession of the ball at 5,700. I think that's a gotta use. And with Kevin Love's injury, Larry Nance gets more and more minutes. He does a lot of the defense. He'll get blocks. He'll get steals. He might get a handful of points and rebounds. So at 5,500, really think there's good value in that. And speaking of good value, 4,900, Anthony Edwards. No Karl Anthony Towns. So Edwards, who's been really solid so far, look for that production to go up a little bit as well. In the lower tier, Cam Johnson's been really solid coming off the bench for Phoenix at 4,400. Josh Jackson's really been Detroit's best player so far at 4,300. You could use those minutes. And if you're really in a pinch, Isaac Bonga, he doesn't do a lot of offensive stat-wise, but defensively he gets some numbers because he's basically the only one who plays defense for the Washington Wizards. And at 3,800, you could get a 9-5 and maybe a couple steals or blocks. There's decent value there for sure. All right, moving on to the power forward section. Domantas Sabonis continues to be a sort of mini Nikola Jokic, putting up great numbers this year. He had a good game versus Boston last time out. He's playing in Boston again, so I look for that to continue. And at 8,900, that's much better value than Antetokounmpo or Tatum, and you're getting around the same point production so far. So I definitely take a look at Sabonis. Julius Randle continues to put up numbers, and at 7,700, definitely worth it. Good matchup versus Cleveland today, so I take a look at that. In the I didn't have a lot of mid-tier guys, so I definitely would use high dollar value if it is Antetokounmpo, Tatum, Sabonis. I don't know if I go with Zion, but I didn't see a lot of great mid-tier value here in the power forward section. On the lower tier, Bertans and McDermott. McDermott had a good game versus Boston, so we might have another one. He's always able to score off the bench, and at $4,000, decent value there. Same with Davis Bertans. He can heat up, and if he can get you 17 and maybe 5 at $4,000, really good value. And last, Grant Williams, little uptick in minutes at 3,600. Not much to lose there. He grabs a handful of rebounds, gets some tiny garbage points, but might get a steal or two. So if you're really desperate to fill in that value need, especially if you're using one of the high dollar values, Grant Williams might not be the worst thing to go to at this point in time. And lastly, let's move on to the centers. And Jokic, 10,300. You have to use Jokic right now. He is doing incredible things. Had 18 assists last night, 20 points, 12 rebounds. Just he's putting up ridiculous numbers right now. So I'd use Jokic definitely, no matter what matchup until he cools off. But Vucevic presents good value at 8,400 with a matchup versus OKC. They don't have a ton of post defenders there, so look for Vucevic to have a pretty good game at 8,400. We didn't like Mason Plumlee yesterday, but we like him today. Yeah, he's getting a ton of minutes for Detroit at 6,000. If you're looking to save a couple thousand on center and don't want to go with Jokic, Embiid, or Drummond, Plumlee's a decent value there. He's at about 32 fantasy points per game. So pretty decent value for 6,000. You want to drop down a little lower. Thomas Bryant will put up numbers. He's at about 35. So he's actually putting up more points than Mason Plumlee at 5,200. And James Wiseman is at 30 points. So I wouldn't be scared to use James Wiseman versus Detroit in that matchup versus Mason Plumlee. And he's only 5,200. Now, if you're looking really, really cheap, I definitely go with Aaron Baines. He's about 25 points a game. It's going to be a difficult matchup with Joel Embiid, but He's probably Toronto's best use at center, unless they're going to use Bouchard. But I figure Baines will be in there to bang around Embiid. So with that, he should get some numbers and really good value at 4,300. All right. So what are our don't plays of the day? Don't really like Kyle Lowry or Chris Paul right now. Lowry has been all right, but I haven't seen a ton of value for his price. It's starting to get down there. Chris Paul has been really poor so far this year. His value is really down to 7,300. If it gets into the 7,000 or below, I'd start to use him. But right now, he's sort of hot and cold and really sort of pacing himself throughout this first part of the season. In the shooting guard territory, I'd stay away from Jimmy Butler. He has not been all that great this year, and his price at 8,000 just isn't worth it. And right now, I definitely stay away from Andrew Wiggins. He just hasn't shown the ability to make shots right now. Until you see a couple games where he is making shots, I would not touch him. In the shooting guard, in the small forward, just want to wait and see on Kawhi Leonard. At 9,900, you want your guy to be healthy, and he has to be able to score a whole lot of fantasy points, and just want to see how he responds with the stitches in his mouth. And Tobias Harris, just don't like that price at 6,400. I think he's a 5,000 guy. And small forward, you got a lot of options at the 4,000 and 5,000 range to definitely get better value than Tobias Harris at 6,400. In the power forward, I didn't see a lot of don't touches, but Pascal Siakam, easy for me to say, would definitely be the one I wouldn't touch right now. You got really good options right above him in the price point, and I don't like the way he's playing. He's not very efficient, and I just wouldn't touch him at the 8,000 price tag, especially when you can essentially get the exact same production from Julius Randle for about 300 less. So I'd stay away from Pascal Siakam. That was all in the power forwards that I was definitely in the stay away from. Joel Embiid, 9,600. He's been on fire. Just not feeling it today. No real reason. I just think he'll come with a dud. So I didn't want to put him on my list at 9,600. You got for 700 more Jokic, who has just been ridiculous so far. And just below that, Vucevic. I'd rather use Vucevic than Embiid today, and that's about $1,000 more value. Miles Turner did not play great in that Boston game, nor a lot of minutes, and so I'd stay away. And Ayton just hasn't found his form, so as long as he's in the 7,000 range, I would not use DeAndre Ayton. All right, that's our DFS value plays of the day for the Drive and Dish podcast. Be sure to find all the Greenlight Network podcasts at greenlightnetwork.org. We'll have our Football Time podcast with Achilles Reign dropping later tonight, our recap and review of NFL Week 16. Be sure to follow and like our Facebook page. That's our show, and we're out.